So what have you been called too much of, Emma? Can you list it for me?
Yeah, so I've been called too needy, too emotional, I cry too much, too independent, too intimidating, too confident. Have I said that? No. Yeah. Too annoying.
And can you tell us some anecdotes or stories about when you've been called too much, the context, how it made you feel, whether it affected you afterwards?
Yeah, so most of how I've been called too much has all been related to previous relationships with men. So in particular, my last relationship was like my only really big serious one, and I got told that I was too needy a lot because I maybe wanted to see him more than he wanted to see me, or I wanted to text him more than he wanted to text me, and that was too needy. And also we'd have an argument about something, and I would cry because I'm just a big crier, and he would say that I always cry too much. Try and say that I was using crying as a way to get him to back down from the argument, and really I wasn't actually upset. I was just using that as like a power to like get my way, I guess, which is crazy. And part of being too needy made me too annoying, because even when like we were together in person, and I wanted affection, say, he would find that annoying. And yeah, I'm quite a sensitive person, so I would be quite sensitive to arguments or things that kind of went wrong, and that made me too emotional.
Has that affected you at all later on?
Yeah, so, well, at the time I kind of always blamed myself and thought that I was in the wrong, and like I needed to not be annoying and not be emotional, and I needed to change myself, and it really got me down that I didn't like who I was, and it felt like the relationship was falling apart all because of me, because of my faults, and it's like, so the last like year, say, it's been like a massive learning curve where I've kind of just realised, actually no, there's nothing wrong with me, that's just the way I am, and I just wasn't suited to that person because that's not how he was, and I have like decided actually I like being emotional because I think it's nice to have feelings, and it makes me very empathetic as well when other people are going through things, because I'm not scared to express my emotions, and yeah, so it did affect me, but I sort of feel like I have overcome it.
Yeah, and that leads on nicely to, how each of your too muches, how do you feel that they are your power, and what do you love about yourself with them, and how's it helped you and how's it helped other people?
Okay, well, so I didn't really mention much of another guy I was sort of seeing who called me too confident and too intimidating, too independent as well. So that's like something that I definitely think is my power, because they are traits that I want to be. Like, I think that's a good thing to be like powerful and independent. And so like that didn't really affect me much. I think they're good things, because like being confident helps you in like all ways of life, because you're just more confident to speak up, more confident to like make friends. Like when I was travelling with a friend, but like my confidence would help us out loads, because I wasn't afraid to ask someone for help or like make friends in all the hostels, and I think that's obviously always a nice thing to have. But in terms of like being too emotional and stuff, like as I like kind of mentioned briefly a minute ago, I think being emotional is nice because you feel other people's emotions. Doesn't make you afraid to express your emotions, and it makes communicating better if you can actually relay how you feel and show how you feel, rather than just hiding behind yourself. And yeah, it makes you empathetic, like I said, and I don't know. I think it's just a good thing to show your emotions.
Definitely.
And just be yourself and let it all out. And
yeah. And how has being emotional helped you, in your life, or helped other people?
I think it's helped other people because I will always for friends, for example, if they're going through a hard time, they know I'm quite a sensitive, emotional soul in myself, so I probably know the right things to say to them, and I can understand what they're going through, so I can give them good advice. And I think it just improves relationships with everybody if you can have emotion.
Yeah.
Like we were saying earlier, not showing your emotion is really unhealthy. I think in particular, like I was saying, with talking to friends, and they trust me to let their emotions out because they know that I'll do the same thing. So we can talk about everything, and we have the deepest conversations about the world and life and death, and just let it all out. And I think it's really nice to know that you've got that person that you can talk about kind of emotional deep things with.
Yeah. That's what life's all about, really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody wants to talk to someone who's just kind of cold and not showing any of their feelings.
So if you met someone who was, say, in formative years, maybe 15 or something, and they've been called, too needy, too emotional, too sensitive, too confident, too independent by guys, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
I'd say just don't let that don't let it change you. Kind of just realise that that's who you are, and if they think you're too much of that, that's because they're not like that, and that's just because people are different, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it's definitely never a fault of yours, and you just kind of have to tell yourself that if they think you're like that, you just have to say, okay, well, we don't work then, because you're not too much, you're you, and you need to find someone who thinks you're just the right amount of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it just tells you that maybe you're not right for each other, not that you're not right.
Definitely. And how do you find people, whether it be friendships or relationships or whatever, that if you how have you found those people
who are like me, and don't call me too much? I think I have a very good vibe from people anyway. I think once you've spent a fair amount of time with someone, whether they're like you or not. And I just choose to spend time with the right kind of people for me.
Yeah.
And not waste my time on people who aren't really like me, because I don't think it's healthy to spend time with people who you don't necessarily gel with personality wise, or if they're going to judge your character in a negative way. So I think I just kind of have quite a good judgment of character and can tell if I'm going to get on with someone, whether they're like me or not.
Yeah, cool. And if the world could change tomorrow, and your ideal world was set in place, what would that world look like? Could make things better for people.
I think my ideal world would be everyone being allowed to be who the hell they want to be, and nobody judging them, and there being no rules as to how you can dress, who you can be with. I think dress sense for me is a big one, because even though I don't let it affect me if anyone comments on my dress sense, it really does kind of nibble away at me slightly, because I just think why are you so close-minded to think that me dressing in a certain way should be anything to talk about at all, because everyone should just dress how they want, and that should be a great thing. Is it not a great thing to kind of to express yourself through various means, one of them being fashion. And if you might be too afraid to do that, but don't make remarks about someone if they're not afraid to do that, because I think that's a really good thing. So yeah, dress sense, that's a big one for me. If I think everyone should just dress how they want, like dress freely, and I think people should walk around naked if they want. But then also, yeah, be gay if you want, be trans if you want, decide that you're a man, decide that you're a woman, decide that you're nothing. And I think that should be like acceptable everywhere, and that's my ideal world, really. And I wish racism didn't exist either, because to me that is so baffling. Like, why does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, we're all just people on this earth trying to get by, so
yeah,
like colour of skin or where you're from doesn't make you a good or bad person. It just makes you a person. Accept who you are and like enjoy it, and realise that like everyone's trying to figure out who they are, but no matter what it is, just embrace it and enjoy it, and don't let anybody get you down.